I entrust the media to the maintenance of insidious narratives with facts obfuscation roles and with lies and delusions for us with that predatory hurt conviction nature of that. The right to be proven innocent too. I have confessions related to, from when I was a kid with people. When I was a kid, for example, I had interbranch families, associated with people in my school. I never had anything to do with it. I was a polite person, respectful to everyone. I mean, I mind my own business. And the only exceptions, I mean, what happened was, I don't understand. I mean, I understand now how to explain it. And I understand how everyone missed understanding how they're using juxtapositions of methods to have forms of police handle facts treatments in relationships to investigations that they don't think we realize are going on. And they don't realize how other people know they're going on. Um, in relationship to evidence fabrication methods from our original impositions, the method of revolution was from a position on top of what was internation police already entrenched. It was a crazy plan, a counter-extortion plan. In other words, they already had forced shared terror policing below the surface nations of extorted leaders of nations in their warring relationships to that. They had unity ties with what they didn't understand, because that too was only that realized through breached campuses before that. Sciences, geopolitical sciences mean internation, meaning intercultural, that meaning a minority from each culture maintaining the phenomenon of culture with an evidence fabrication method, having the nature of humanity self-defend positions, furthering obfuscations that force expertly and force that upon everyone not understanding how to only let realize all positions have only let realized exploitations of us terror or furtherance methods to all areas to attach to our statistics, crime statistics, insidiously used in the media narratives defending. In other words, they have this nature of education forces animal treatments, and it forces animal treatments justified to counter that with the language of the law and with policing rights. And what that's doing, because it's part of it, it's with multi-front, evidence fabricated theater, illusions, sharing the same means to get away with it in relationship to facts treatments. Fact treatments that reflect upon liars needing lies and things to be stated the way you have to be explained and justified practical. And that's why in relationship to not just in business, it's physical delusions that are tactically engineered and propagated and cultivated now. We all lost to this before our nation's foundings, since semi-ancient times. This just reminds. So religions are about. Religions are about criminally re-engineered human education. That means all the sciences, including the science of the law, including the science of all positions of it. You see the problems they have in all these countries. We have different natures of extortion, of terror theater, and of needs for reactions to hurt negative value nature progressions. But they're as evidence fabrication roles, not realizing how. And then having to self-defend that, not realizing how, maintaining everyone, the branches of nations being high predators with what they don't understand, as with lies and delusions to themselves. So now they're forcing, this is the nature of nations, of politics, is forced to pretend stability and pretend legitimacy when they say there's no credibility to anything. In other words, I forgot what the topic was going by too fast at the time because my videos maybe too long, too, I think. So people wanted shorter videos, some people said. So the important thing is fact treatments. What is only untrue always, especially with prejudice. Why? Because it was a tactic that wanted itself, that needed itself for the long term to stay blamed on prejudice. This is an art before and with colonization. This is an art that destroyed Africa, mastered itself on Africa while it was still demonstrably denaturing over here. It's more plausible when we realize the need for counters to things that are not true always, with lies and delusions, and how there are invested logics leaning on them. In other words, we have the scientists leaning on their own roles, worse than obfuscating themselves, forcing delusion propagation roles together. In science and psychology, I'm not a doctor. Psychology demonstrably has great roles with this. The identity demonstrably, for example, is needed by science to be taught, to be understood, is a correlation relationship. We are to correlate between positive and negative value nature. Why? Because that's the way the only value nature system speaks to us. It doesn't speak to us with words. I mean, it demonstrates positive and value nature progressions when we are it. Those positive value nature progressions, it's called evolution. That's designed by the presence of the radical of unchanging positive with and as the nature. When the nature is not let its complete nature, it's diffusing out as negative value nature progression. As negative value nature pushed away, that forces that negative value nature progressions is positive value nature no longer there. It's being demonstrated. The rest of the earth has no criminal persuasions, especially no criminally legalized persuasions. So, one thing nations share, including our own, because of the nature of geopolitical sciences that we're still entrenched, that we lost to on linguistic intellectual fields, consciousness, correlation fields, the nature correlation fields, scientific correlation fields, ratiocination fields. We lost. And so we stay justifications of logic dependent on expert being. Because we stay justifications of logic entertaining linguistic laws with linguistic lies and delusions with legal natures yet, like they were with slavery, because they had all other terror laws too. No one found the right words for it, not by accident. And that's the method. See, when you start understanding it, we start putting all the species, you can see the method that was applied. Because it's not a natural motivation for those sick things. These were methods to have the nature of this entire species employed as our own reaching nature perpetually. So the way is just to admit it. And then we have the garden. That's where we all rise from. Hear many pray. All stand from bow, hear many pray. One day, one way in dollars correctly. See it made. They put all the streams underground. They planned that they denatured. Hartford, Connecticut. We're still, they had roles with slavery. They had roles too. At the same time, they had roles with the Underground Railroad insidiously for long-term, in other words, for the types of, for long, they knew that they put us in these boxes, denatured landscapes, and relying upon their value nature systems, not for the money ones, not just the legal ones, but to juxtaposition to that, where they're both trapped, exploiting standard means to get away with lies, and then having to cover up lie progressions where that's illegal to the rules, but no one follows the rules in standard ways. And then when something happens like 9/11, something comes along, everyone says, "Oh, well, I had nothing to do with that, so I could just cover up it anyways." And there were proofs that that was involved with it. That's why we have still lies actively and insidiously being hidden with our databases, pretending illusions that witnesses said about that, and hiding related interstate criminal confessions in relationship to roles with the police who did that, and medical people who did that. Who I never even had conversations with. They forged names. They made huge conversations. I said people were following me. I never said people. I never had conversations with these people. They forged the names too. The guy admitted to me over the phone, and the cameras will show it in that place, whatever. I had no conversations with those people. And then, you know what they do? They say things to you loaded like they had a conversation with you in the past. They never did. And then they like record. They do that with in relationship to using these places, using related people who are associated with their patients too in my area, healthcare people and intercity, with evidence fabrication roles in their hospitals and on the streets, and spreading rumors in relation to all the lie progression cover-up methods and needs from them having been with all kind of street drug roles and stuff with this too, per their roles with evidence fabrications, with their roles with courts, socially and business-wise and healthcare-wise too, that being used as an evidence fabrication method, only that realized, per the science's roles with this only that realized, geopolitically. In other words, James Madison only gave us the means to defend free speech, but everyone stays kings with no clothes. You know, that's an old story. There's a famous little child story, but it's simple truth in relation to legal nature. In other words, there's all power, and they share lies that are shared with different opinion natures, all at the same ends. Power is not a fact, it's a thing. Money is not a fact, it's a thing. Title is not a fact, it's a thing. The shared reasons people are blind glorification of predatory justification. The only reason people could glorify leaders are in relationship to the terrors they face in the name of exploited stewards, too, in relationship to interscience narratives of science, and that being relied on for logistics, not for the physical logistics of war, for understanding the way out. That's revolution, is to win to understanding. See, this is being sabotaged by the geopolitical sciences. They teach physical delusions juxtaposed from the base. That's why they teach America did all these things to the Native Americans. When America was a plan to counter when we did that. And we stayed in that name because that was only the plan to keep it going. What had those slavery laws was geopolitical internation terror agencies. So what they do, they made the KKK to look like them, to take the blame for them, knowing that the nations now, we never charged them originally forcing us to force shared terror markets positions. And see, this is not explained right by other nations, so they just share, nations that have nothing to do with each other, share lies being blamed on America. That's how they think. It's a broken grammar school at the college level, not by accident. This is to maintain self-defense natures of evidence fabrication roles, of hurt conviction nature roles, in acts and inactions, indifference engineering, relying upon expertly and upon motivations forcing that with terrors standardized for opinion natures not honest, not by accident. Only that, this is used right in our face, without us realizing, to the maintenance of sabotaged reason. On Facebook, you can't even find a political discussion. The hate narratives and the back and forth. That's because the self-defense nature too, the motivations, the campuses juxtaposed with all natures of crime. As a self-defense nature is a business, juxtaposed as a weapon for area liberties being taken by it in relationship to standardized lie progressions. Really the cause of what affects them needing to cover up and to act on systemic evidence fabrication, systemic witness fabrication, in relationship to natures of police and stuff like that, though they're only trained to keep secret. They're training like mass serial killers, just like with colonization. So to explain America, you have to explain what did that was foreign, because that's what put this here, is what shared the same things south of the border. See, the only reason we're better off is because what Madison did, which was a phenomenon. He counter-extorted our founders, who would have just played out as tools of a evil thing that would have had us much worse. See, but it's all needed anyways, because we don't have free. We lost. We only have the right to make expression. We also don't have the sophistication and the honesty to defend from untrue conviction natures and opinions forcing. See, when they have these like these people do these crazy shootings and stuff like that, and then what are the reaction of the politicians? Because those fields are only trained to the self-nature guys. So then they're gonna want to go make hard laws. Then they're gonna start hurting more kids, putting kids in jail. But no one feels that. They just want they're going for feelings of narratives in relationship to even and especially our police don't have integrity. They're not honest. They're not allowed to be. We still don't have charged the forced terror policing. Not only do we not have a charge, we have the insidious lies it needs to keep itself unrealized, blamed on other things, not let understood. We have them all forced. That's the only standardized education we have, not by accident. So in other words, we have to deal with reality. Stop defending. We have to make laws. Just admonish them too. Just admonish. Don't even have to make a law. Just call it out. You know what I'm saying? The evil roles, the insidious roles, tent-faced roles of the media, and leading only let realize just predatory campus logic natures. This is the school bullied world right here. This is the problem. There's fact treatments. In other words, they can't be honest, so they can't defend the facts. They can't defend the truth. They can't defend people's rights. They can't defend, and they're in the self-defense of as evidence fabrication roles. You can't teach someone to mind their own business. Just because someone's in their school for 4 years or whatever years, well, they owe them nothing. See, these people are getting involved with systemic evidence fabrication roles with their parents and with everyone since their age is up. And they get stuck like that. in relationship to things they don't, phenomena they don't understand. It will explain it through our game. New York demand. As fast as we get going, we become efficient at this game. This is a religious method. It's a religious practice method. It's not. This is not. This is what the religious we discern. What do all religions agree about? Not with. They're not emotions. They don't agree about. What do they agree about? That is unchanging truth. Is one thing that all religions agree about. What is unchanging truth when it comes to negative value nature in positions like terror, because these are terror methods that are multi-front. So that means criminal insidiously. In other words, for time and positions of having multi-front people saying different things, making it look like there's something in between, but they're both totally wrong. This and what motivates good people to do this is in relationship to what has all kinds of standardized crime natures cultivated, from methods propagating them, right through methods originally set up to exploit all ages of innocence, consciously, willfully. This is why we have men in the Hartford area using Facebook for terror group, white power group threats online today, and then men with the Cookie Monster as their picture on Facebook, making fun of a young girl. You know what I mean? I think it was a man. With the language, it was disgusting. You know, and like just these are people that need people to think it's prejudice, because they need fact treatments to stay entertained as ours. Throughout this nation, not by accident, we've had campuses entertained as ours, willfully, by natures of crime that are intercity, intercommunity, interstate, internation, international. And we have to, and the proofs of it are not let realized, because only let self-defense natures of logic that are just fighting. I mean, in other words, it's a fake passion to convict, to hurt with the law, to make change, because everyone knows that there's negative value nature progressions. Everyone's blaming it on human nature, and just not realizing what's really forcing it normalized. You know, it's not legal. The opinions that are so hurtful. These are people keeping that up in relationship to needs to keep that justified, to keep that nature. In other words, not realize pushing us from even asking questions for our presidents, because the media is forcing them to play to play their roles, and with their police unchecked, unchallenged. So we never had one president who didn't inherit this nation breached. Yet none have teached. I've finished speech. Finished speech.